Hi everyone, my name is Keandra and welcome to my YouTube channel. And this particular video is a follow-up from my denouncement video of a Greek letter organization. This video is for anyone who has decided that they are going through the process of renouncing the organization as well as removing themselves from that organization. So when I originally denounced publicly almost a year ago, I received a ton of questions about the process. What is it like? How long does it take? As well as some individuals that reached out that had sent off a letter or started the process of being removed from the organization but just did not receive follow-up. So this is just a practical step-by-step through the process. I'll share some things that you may need to consider as well as some advice. Okay, so if you're already here, you are starting the process or you are planning to start the process of removing yourself from an organization. So I'll start with number one. If you've taken an oath, you've realized the importance of prayers of confession, repentance, and renouncing. So let me talk a little bit about renouncing. So one, you're confessing what was committed and you're also repenting from idolatry or taking an oath. So renouncing, because there is a little bit of confusion of renouncing and denouncing. So I want to give you the definition of renounce. So renouncing is to refuse to follow, obey, or recognize any further. It is to formally declare one's abandonment of. It's to refuse or resign a right or position. And similar terms are reject, refuse to abide by, and refuse to recognize. So that will be step number one, is to renounce whatever organization that you were a part of. Number two is to get rid of all paraphernalia. So if you have pens, if you have clothing, if you have books, even if you have unofficial items, right? If you have sand, if you have a ton of gifts that people may have gotten you. So it is important to get rid of those items. I would suggest destroy it if it is difficult to do so. Why do I say that? Anyone who has been a part of a Greek letter organization, you know that it's unheard of. Like, it's almost a thought that you are destroying your letters, which you're coming out of it, so they're technically not going to be your letters. The thought of that, it's like, oh no, you can't do that. So if you're struggling with doing that, that goes to show that it's something there. And when you're going about, if you are destroying your letters, you're basically rejecting the way that you operate within that organization, right? So your letters were looked at as something that was sacred and in high regard. But because you're no longer under that oath, and it's like you have no, loyalty to the letters. And so if it's difficult for you, then you may want to possibly destroy it. If not, just get rid of it. Some organizations, you can send it in to the organization, so that it's completely up to you. Number three, I suggest finding support. So if there's someone that you can confide in as you're going about this journey, preferably someone that is a person of faith, because it is not easy, right? If you're already here, for some people it may be pretty simple, but for those that, you know, this is something that God has spoken to you about, it is difficult to go about this process. So it's best to have someone or a group of people to confide in and to support you and pray for you while you're going about this process. Now, there is a group on Facebook. I'll try and link it in the description box, but it is called Out From Among Them. And that is a really good support group if you don't know anyone. So everyone that's in this group, they're either individuals that have come out of Greek letter organizations, or they're individuals that are going through the process that have a lot of questions, just kind of need encouragement. So the group is definitely well monitored, so you have to be approved to get in the group. So I will link that if I can, but the name of the group is Out From Among Them. So you just submit a request and let them know where you are, and they will let you in the group. Number four is to draft a letter to your organization. So this may look different depending on the organization, but more than likely they are going to request a written letter or written communication. Now, this could be however extensive or not that you would like. The main points that will need to be included is, obviously, you have renounced the organization, you would like to be removed from the organization, and ask that they provide next steps or confirmation on how to do so. And my letter was pretty simple. My name is Keandra Price. I no longer want to be a part of the organization. I've renounced the organization because it conflicts with my beliefs as a follower of Christ. And I asked them, what are the next steps, or please confirm that I have been removed. Number five is to contact a local or regional representative of the organization. So this is where you're going to submit your letter. I would suggest starting on the organization's website. Maybe start with the membership tab or the leadership tab. The membership tab may provide a representative with their email address of where you can start the initial conversation, or the leadership tab may narrow down to your local representative where you can also start sending them the communication. Now, you will not find on the websites, and I did take a look at it for the sake of this video, you will not find how to renounce or be removed from the organization. So for me, I sent a email to a representative at Delta. So this person was the membership coordinator. It's no longer online now. There aren't any representatives on the website. It says that that's like temporarily down, but I reached out to that person and she then told me I needed to send that to the regional representative. So I sent the email to the regional representative, and I also copied the membership young lady in the email as well. So if there are multiple people you can copy in, if you're sending an email, I suggest doing that so that multiple people are looking at it, so that it's not a delay with you receiving confirmation that you have been removed from the organization. If you cannot find anything on the website from leadership or membership, try the contact tab for the general email. There are some websites, some of the organizations, you can submit an email through the website and they have the ability for you to place an attachment there, and you can include your letter at that point. Or the last resort, and you can start off by doing this as well in an email, is to mail your letter to headquarters, and you can get it notarized and certified so that you have confirmation of receipt. Number 6 is to share with those who need to know. So this will vary from person to person. If you have line brothers, if you have line sisters, if you have people that you are very close to that are still a part of the organization, then obviously you know who you would need to share this with. If you don't really have connections, then this may be something that you can skip. And so you can do that at the level or the way that you would like, right? And I would say, because that's probably one of the most difficult aspects of this, especially if you have community, if you have people that you develop bonds with. I'll say for me, my experience, it was the hardest thing to do for me. But when I was praying about it, I was trying to think of the proper way to do it. Meaning, do I need to have like a meeting? Do I need to like share all of these things and give them the opportunity to respond? And I was praying about it, and the Lord was like, no, you're still operating like you're under this oath, right? So there's a certain way you do things, and because these are your sisters, you want to make sure you do it right. Like, you owe them this formality. And not that I didn't care, I think what God was really saying to me, you have to now move like you're not a part. You've already rejected the way of this organization, so that means all aspects of it. But I obviously had to tell them. So what I did, I didn't go the route of a meeting. I just sent a text message in the group chat, told them, you know, that I was leaving and the reasons for it, and I removed myself from the group. Now I will speak a little bit more about myself. So after I denounced, I shared with my former line sisters that I was leaving. I told them, hey, if relationships will keep up, it has to be done organically, because I'm not in the group. I won't know when X, Y, and Z is happening, but I don't want you to feel pressure to keep me in the loop because I was once your line sister, right? Relationships outside of this at this point would be organic. And that's what happened for some of them. There were some that I've seen since then. There were some that were actually my friends. And so some relationships I've kept up with, but naturally some I didn't, and that's okay. I would say just prepare yourself for whatever that will look like. Hopefully the individuals that you let know that are part of the organization are supportive and respectful of the decision that you have made. But again, one of the scriptures that I went back to is Mark 10:29. It says, truly I tell you, Jesus replied, no one who has left home or brothers or sisters, mother or father or children or fields for me and the gospel will fail to receive 100 times as much in this age and in the age to come. And so I understand how it could be definitely difficult and not knowing how it would be perceived. But just go about it with an open heart, and you may be surprised. There may be some that are very much so supportive. I didn't go into it expecting that I would get that support. Also, if you have friends that are on your line, like you have genuine, these are your friends, I would start with them first, because that's what I did. I started with people that were the closest to me, that were also my line sisters, and I told them, and they kind of lightened the mode. So this will look different for everybody, but essentially just notifying the people that would need to know that are remaining a part of the organization. The last point I'll make on this is I suggest notifying those people that are part of the organization after you receive confirmation from the organization that you're no longer part of it. And I say that because you may have people that mean well that may sway you, right? If you're already just, you know, going about this, trying to obey, it's very uncomfortable, it's a hard thing to do, and you may have, you know, line brothers or line sisters or people that are part of the organization that really mean well to kind of talk you out of proceeding. But if you've already received your confirmation from the organization, you can't undo it. My letter says I have been barred and I can never again be added back to the roster. So I just suggest, if you're telling everyone, make sure that you've gone about submitting the request to the organization so that you receive confirmation. Number 7 is to seek therapy or counseling. Now, this is optional. I am a counselor, so I am a firm believer of counseling all of the time, but especially if there's a major transition in your life. And to me, removing yourself from a Greek letter organization, that is a major transition. For many of you, you've been a part of these organizations the majority of your adult life. You've developed community, so you're not seeing a counselor for them to help you walk out and get out of the organization. It's really to address what could come up with loss, and there's a level of grief that could potentially be there. So it's good to walk that out with someone, and you never know, there may be things that come up that will help you walk through the reason why you joined, you know, these organizations. So I highly suggest a therapist or a counselor in case it is a level of grief that you may need to work it out with someone that is a professional. Now, the last one is denounce. This is very much so optional. Denouncing is what you see people do on YouTube or maybe go public. It's essentially going public. Denouncing is what I did. I'm going to give you a definition. It says to publicly declare to be wrong or evil or inform against. Now, that is not, so it's basically going public. When you denounce, you are publicly talking about it. That's obviously not for everyone. If God is telling you to denounce the organization, then go ahead. But I just wanted to make that clarification that renouncing and denouncement are two different things. If you don't denounce, you don't go public, that you've just basically renounced the organization. If I were to give advice to anyone that is denouncing, I would say definitely make sure that you're settled when you go about that process. For me, I didn't have any intent to denounce. That was something that the Lord instructed me to do. It was somewhat abrupt, because I moved a little slow. However, I think it is important to be settled, right? Because you don't want to go out and denounce out of retaliations, because for some people, you know, it may not be as there may not be as many people as supportive. And so just make sure that you're settled. And I also want to say, for anyone that is on college campus still, like, this can definitely, it could be difficult for anyone, but if you're on college campus, I can imagine that is a whole nother level of many different factors that can take into account. I would definitely highly suggest a counselor, because it's different. I'm 36 years old, and it was fall of 2008 when I pledged, and I can't imagine doing this then, right? You could be ostracized. It's like you're like labeled on campus. People are not as kind. Like, there's an immaturity level at that time. And so I would suggest definitely finding support, seeking a counselor, but of course being prayerful about this entire process. So that is it. Those were some common things that came up in my inbox since I denounced over a year ago. It's like 100 or so questions and comments. And so I wanted to just do this separately for anyone that is going about the process of removing themselves from an organization. I just wanted to give some practical tools, and if you have not seen my denouncement video, I will link it in this one and you can take a look at it. If you have any questions, if there's something that I didn't include here, please leave them below. Someone else may have that same question. And if you need prayer, feel free to inbox me on Instagram. I'll leave my Instagram. You can inbox me and I'll respond with the time for us to connect. So I hope this video was helpful, and I'm praying for you, and have a good rest of the day. Bye.